Without this invisible doubles technique in action, you'll struggle to execute the 2 for the price of 1 motion that allows you to go twice as fast with no extra effort. Today I'll teach you how, even if you're a total beginner. You can do this. Hey, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. I'm so glad you're hanging out today. I help beginner and intermediate drummers become the musicians that others want to play with and that sound awesome playing songs with a band. And we do this by learning the core drumming skills that save you time in the practice room and help you get results and grow faster. And hey, while you're here, tell me if you can relate to this. If you have one hand that just doesn't want to play as well as the other, maybe your right hand learns things quickly and plays fast and is nice and strong and loud, but maybe that left hand just lags behind and it feels clumsy. It literally just won't learn what it's supposed to, won't play what it's supposed to. That means you have a weak hand, and that is a super common ailment that every one of us has dealt with, myself included. If you have a weak hand, I don't want you to deal with it any longer because it's going to wreak havoc on your fills, keep you from navigating smoothly around the kit. It's going to keep you from getting even close to your potential on the drums if you've got that one hand that's always holding you back. So we've got to fix this. I have a totally free resource for you. This is my Eliminate Your Weak Hand in 3 Steps mini course. You can go sign up below. The link is in the description. You can sign up below completely free and achieve hand freedom hand to hand, and that equal ability hand to hand by working through these 3 lessons. It's going to help you a bunch. So go dive into that. All right, on with today's lesson. There really is a big reason why so many drummers struggle with doubles, especially these slow rebound-driven doubles that we're talking about today that are really the foundation for any doubles you're going to play. And that reason is that so many of us struggle to let go of control. Now, we can go into deep psychological, emotional discussions of this and how it plays into our personalities and life, but we're not going to go there. We're going to stay focused on drumming. A lot of times we don't want to let go of control. We want to make sure we're exerting and we're manipulating our intentions, our force on what the sticks do because we feel like we're going to be able to play what we want to play and even play faster or louder by doing that. But the opposite is true, especially when pertaining to doubles. We have to let go of that control that we think we need to exert in order to achieve the freedom and the fluidity that's absolutely necessary to nail doubles. Trust me, I've been there, I get it. I did not really learn how to let go of control with doubles until years into playing the drums. I was sitting here trying to, hammer them out and trying to play faster, and I was getting stiffer and stiffer, and it was not working, and I was playing more into the drum than off of the drum. And so finally I started to realize, you know what? This is not working. The more loose and the more relaxed I am, as I started to work on my grip more and really pinpoint that, suddenly things started opening up, suddenly my doubles started getting smoother, and that carried over into every other area of my playing. And you'll find that that's kind of a theme here, where as we improve our doubles, a lot of other areas of your playing are going to improve too. So what we've got to do here is incorporate this invisible technique I'm talking about, and that invisible technique is the complete letting go of control and allowing physics to play that second note for you. Because when we're playing doubles, we ought to be getting a 2 for the price of 1, where we're not individually playing 2 notes, we're playing 1 note. Really, we're using 1 stroke and we're getting 2 notes. And so allowing physics to play that second note for you, that is the invisible technique, and a lot of times it's easier said than done. So don't worry, I'm going to break this down for you and I'll get you playing this. Our goal for today, by the end of this lesson, is for you to play very slow, quiet, rebound-driven doubles. You can do these on your pad or on your snare. And these are going to really set you up for success with where we want to go next, because this lesson is the first in a series of 3. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about how to then play louder, faster, stronger doubles and the wrist cheat that we have to use in order to do that. And then in part 3, we're going to talk about finger tricks and how to actually incorporate your fingers to play really fast doubles. So you can see where we're going with this. Today is the essential step 1. You got to stick with me here. Otherwise, steps 2 and 3 aren't going to work so well. So let's nail this down. 3 actions for you. We've got to essentially learn the right grip and motion. If you get your grip together and you know what motion to do, that's most of the battle right there. So here it is in 3 steps. Number 1, create that door hinge fulcrum. I like to call a good fulcrum point in your hand with the stick a door hinge, because that's essentially what it is. A door hinge stays fixed in place and allows the door to swing open following the exact same path every time you open the door. You always know that that door is going to end up right there when you open it. It's always going to follow the same path in the same way that your stick will always follow the same path if you have your fulcrum in place. And for what we're doing here, we're playing softly and slowly and very relaxed. So we can have our fulcrum about right out here. I highly recommend middle finger. That's going to give you more looseness, and it's going to serve you well in the long run. Just trust me for now, it's going to make more sense as we go, especially as we get into the louder, faster doubles and start using fingers. So set yourself up for success here with a middle finger fulcrum between thumb, middle finger. Aim for about that joint right there, and see if you can make your hand look as much like this as possible. You don't have to look exactly like me. It's okay if it's slightly different, because our hands are all different. We're all physically different, and we're gonna land on slight variations on this whole motion and this whole grip. But this is a great starting point. Build a fulcrum right here, a pivot point right here, and test it just by going like this. Make sure the stick will swing back and forth. And then, once you've established this, very loosely just drop the stick on your practice pad and make sure it'll do this. Make sure it'll just bounce a bunch of times. If it's not doing this, that probably means you're putting too much pressure on it. So see if you can get even looser. You might even try creating almost like a loop or sort of like a V shape and letting the stick rest at the bottom of that V. There's a slight bit of skin pressure on the stick. Otherwise, if there's not, it kind of just, it might go like that and do, loops within your hand or bounce out. That can definitely happen if it's not secure. So you have to find the balance here of a secure fulcrum, but not pinching tightly. We don't want to pinch. So this is where you've got to play around with it. You've got to take action, follow along with me here, and just test this out with your hand, your stick on your pad. You'll figure it out. You'll get there. We just want to have a very loose fulcrum down here near the end of your middle finger that allows you to do this. This is step one. Spend as much time on this as you need to, because if something funky is going on here, if you're not getting this free bounce, we don't have the free bounce happening, you're going to run into trouble. So make sure you're focusing on this loose door hinge fulcrum and free bounce. That's step one. And then once this is happening, and by the way, do this with either hand. I'm doing left hand because that's what I tend to do, because I always have a camera on this side. So I can give you a better camera angle from my left hand. Do it with both hands, especially that left hand if it's your weak hand. Be able to do the free bounce with both of your hands and get it nice and comfortable. Then step two is kind of interesting, because what we want to do is the same free bounce, but stop the bounce after 2 bounces. So in other words, prevent a third bounce. We're dropping it, letting it bounce once, and then we're just bringing in the fingers and catching it. You could think of it as just a little catch. Because notice how when I do the free bounce, these fingers are barely even touching the stick. Really, it's just this right here, but instead of awkwardly sticking all the fingers out, I'm letting them rest right here, but they're not actively playing a role until I catch the stick like this, and I can bring it with my pinky up against my palm right here. That's a good way to catch it. But this is not a drastic, it's nothing crazy. Just gently drop it and then just catch the stick. So now it's just resting here a couple inches above the drum, and we've just gotten 2 notes. That's all we want to do. And actually, in the grand scheme of things, what we're going to want to do is lift a little bit too, because we're going to do this over and over again. You could think of it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So it's going to become a repetitive motion, and there will be less of a catch, less of a stop as we go faster, as we put this in the context of our doubles. Because now our step 3, once you can do this, the free bounce, but stopping it after 2 notes with either hand, our step 3 is to actually alternate, do this back and forth with each hand. So drop, bounce, catch, drop, bounce, catch, drop, bounce, catch. But what we want to do is start getting this smooth and in time, so that we're hearing gun, 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 gun. And it's okay if it's not exactly in time, by the way, because what is more important right now than playing this in time is creating this 2 for the price of 1 motion. The whole point is we're dropping the stick down, kind of tossing it down, dropping it down, and letting that second bounce happen totally for free. No wrist work, no fingers, definitely no arm. The second bounce is completely for free. That is the most important thing here. So make sure as you start alternating that you maintain that, because this is where a lot of drummers get hung up. A lot of times they'll get this down with each individual hand. Great. That's awesome. That's a great place to be. We've made it through the first 2 steps, but then we get here to step 3 and we start alternating, and suddenly it starts turning into this, where we're just playing singles. Well, those are singles, not doubles. We want to be tossing the stick down and letting it bounce. So we have to maintain that same level of focus, that same level of quality over each hand, each stick, even as we alternate. And actually, this is a coordination thing. We're not just at technique anymore. We're now talking hand-to-hand coordination, and your brain's having to make sure that it's really paying attention to what each hand is doing. So go very slow, drop, bounce, drop, bounce, drop, bounce, even if it's sloppy and not in time, totally fine. The point is, the second note needs to be for free. Our hand is not doing anything to create the second note. Now you can probably do this as slow as eighth notes at 60, but that is just painfully slow a lot of times, and it's a little bit easier to get this going eighth notes at 80. So I'm gonna pull out my metronome for you here, just on my phone. Here's what 80 beats a minute sounds like. It's playing eighth notes. So if we play these as eighth notes at 80, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and... There you go. It doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be exactly in time to metronomic perfection. The goal is get this roughly locked in at 80 beats a minute. It's not going to sound totally even. It's not going to sound like we're not playing singles. This is not marching band, gung, 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 gung. At least not yet. That's not what we're doing today. We're aiming for this drop rebound thing. That is the whole point here. That is the goal. So remember, what's more important, the most important thing here in these steps is the how you're practicing, what you're paying attention to, quality over quantity. So remember, in step one, we're paying attention to the fulcrum, that door hinge fulcrum we want to establish, and getting that free bounce. The free bounce will happen if the door hinge fulcrum is correct. Those two things go together there in that step one. And the step two of drop, bounce, catch, just two notes. Be able to do that with either hand so that then you can start alternating. Even if it starts off super sloppy like this, where it's not in time, see if you can gradually work this to where they're in time. And then from there, you have your foundation established. You can gradually start pushing the tempo faster, and you can actually start getting these up to 100 and beyond. Here's 100 beats a minute. Remember too, we're not trying to play loud. This is very quiet, relaxed, loose. It's just, this is all based on rebound. So we're playing very lightly, and the bouncier your surfaces, the better. Practice pads are great for this, a high tuned snare. Definitely don't do this on a super soft surface yet, because we're not trying to do any soft surface workouts. This is all about rebound and training our hands and sticks to feel and use that rebound. Just as a ballpark, as you're increasing the tempo here, you're keeping these quiet and chill and rebound driven, you can work these eighth note doubles up to about 160 or so. And at that point, once you get up to 160, you'll start to notice some funny things happening, like they're not gonna sound as even. They might start to feel a little bit sloppy. And that's where our next lesson is going to come in, our part two. So stay tuned for that. Coming up will be part two for this lesson, where we're going to talk about the wrist cheat we have to use as we go faster. Otherwise, the doubles fall apart. That's where this gets pretty interesting. But before we go there, I want to hear from you right now. Which of these steps that we've talked about today do you need to spend the most time on? What will you practice right now? Is it that fulcrum point, the door hinge fulcrum? That's so essential, and so many drummers miss that because it's that crucial first step to drumming. Is it that? Is it the free bounce? Is it that going back and forth very slowly and relaxed? That was the thing I needed to focus on. That was what I missed years ago, actually doing this and very focused and slowly practicing true doubles, because these are true doubles. Drop, bounce, right, left. I'm just playing right, left, and those extra notes are happening for free. That is the key here, and that's so important. Maybe that's where you need to focus. So tell me in the comments, what do you feel is your weak point here? What do you need to focus the most on to really help you establish this doubles foundation so that you are ready to then play more freely, fluidly, quickly, and loudly, and see all of this translate into the rest of your playing as we go forward into parts 2 and 3 here. Hey, I hope this has helped you out. Hope this has been a really valuable lesson for you. Doubles are so key and so essential to drumming as a whole, and so I think you're gonna get a lot of results out of this. It's really gonna be game-changing for you. So I will see you in that next part 2 coming up. In the meantime, know that you can do this, you can accomplish this, you can master doubles even if they're painfully slow. Stay non-glamorous. I'll see you soon.